We will now invite Ms. Bhagya Senaratne, who is a lecturer at John Kothalavala Defence University. Her presentation is titled Sri Lanka's Strategic Relevance in the South Asian Region, an analysis of India's Indian Ocean Strategy and Maritime Silk Route initiatives. Over to you, Bhagya.
Thank you, sir. For a moment there, I was initially wondering if you would be giving the entire introduction of my presentation. In this presentation, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be analyzing India's Indian Ocean strategy and China's Maritime Silk Route strategy against Sri Lanka and see how Sri Lanka is important in terms of both and how we as Sri Lankans can leverage this strategic positioning in the Indian Ocean region to harness the best out of the both countries. We're all aware of the increasingly overlapping nature of both Chinese and Indian interests and influence in the Indian Ocean region. This is because Chinese are moving west into the Indian Ocean region, and the Indians are playing a more dominant role in the Indian Ocean region and moving east. Sri Lanka is seen placed in the middle of both these interests, and this was witnessed via the increased military defense coordination and also received significant media coverage. Why is this Indian Ocean region so important? The Indian Ocean region is important because 2/3 of the global trade passes through this region. It is also important because 80% of the global oil shipments transit through the route as well. The region is also important because it's playing a central role in global politics and has begun featuring prominently in international dialogue. And it's also important due to the energy resources in the region. As Rear Admiral William C. McQuilkin expressed just last morning, the Indian Ocean region is bound to be the lifeline of global business in the near future. In 2010, Robert D. Kaplan, a foreign policy and geopolitical analyst, stated in his famous book, Monsoon, The Indian Ocean and the Future of American Power, that the Indian Ocean region will be the center of global politics and conflicts. He gave two reasons for this. One, because the Indian Ocean region is where most of the world's business is going to take place. And two, because the interests of India, China, and the US are overlapping. Admiral Alfred Mahan, the most important American strategist of the 19th century, stated, "Whoever controls the Indian Ocean region dominates Asia." And in this map, you see the oil shipments transiting through the Indian Ocean region and how Sri Lanka is positioned right in the center. In this context, let us see why Sri Lanka is gaining significance due to her strategic positioning and central positioning in the Indian Ocean region. Ladies and gentlemen, Sri Lanka's security interests as an island nation, as a country in the Indian Ocean region, has significantly featured in various dialogues. According to Prasad Karyavasam, Sri Lanka's incumbent ambassador to the United States and former High Commissioner to India, security will be at the heart of Sri Lanka's interests in the region. He further stated the location also serves our national interest of securing enhanced maritime security in and around the Indian Ocean region, as well as ensuring peace in the region. Let us now quickly look at what India's Indian Ocean strategy is. 70% of India's imports are through this region. Therefore, a key objective of the strategy, India's Indian Ocean strategy, is to safeguard her imports and secure her prominence in this region. And to this end, India uses soft power diplomacy, wherein she invests in regional mining, oil, gas, and infrastructure projects. And to safeguard her status in the Indian Ocean region, India is expanding her naval presence to all corners of the region, such as Seychelles, Madagascar, and the Mauritius. Now to look at China's Maritime Silk Route Initiative. It's a revival of the ancient Maritime Silk Route Initiative, and it was revived in 2013. And a major part of this initiative is driven on soft power diplomacy, wherein China provides large loans on generous repayment schemes for investment in infrastructure projects such as ports, building of roads, dams, power plants, and railways. She also gives political support with her seat in the United Nations Security Council through its veto powers. China's Maritime Silk Route Initiative also focuses on safeguarding the sea lanes of communication, which are vital for her energy imports. Let us now see Sri Lanka's significance in this region and how Sri Lanka can leverage this positioning to maintain better relations with both India and China. Sri Lanka needs to develop an assertive diplomatic role in bargaining with these two major powers. She also needs to start positioning her strategic position in order to first attract business to the country, and she needs to leverage this position between the two powers when negotiating and signing trade agreements with them. Sri Lanka has a lot to gain by leveraging this, and both these two countries are very populous, and in terms of exports, we can gain much. She can also gain by signing transshipment agreements with these two nations. They can both utilize Sri Lanka's position and access to the East and West in conducting trade with the external world. Further, Sri Lanka is a neutral venue for these two countries, so it's an added advantage if they go through Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka needs to ascertain progressive and proactive relations with these two global giants by bargaining her strategic positioning in the region and attracting investment opportunities which both India and China have in store for the region. Sri Lanka needs to remember that both these two countries are prepared to invest heavily in the region. Therefore, strategic use of this capital will be beneficial for our nation building. Due to our naval strength, Sri Lanka can assist India in expanding and securing maritime security interests of the Indian Ocean region, and as I mentioned previously, keeping Sri Lanka's maritime security at the heart of her security interests in the region will be one of the topmost priorities. Therefore, asserting a neutral role and assisting global giants ensure the safety of their trade and oil shipments through the region will be extremely beneficial for us. Sri Lanka can also use this positioning to expand her tourism industry, and there's a huge touristic potential in these two countries. And I don't simply mean that we should simply attract the tourists to meet our 2.5 million target, which is set for 2016. Sri Lanka can become a hub. By hub, I mean we can be a hub especially for India and attract tourists and flights to Sri Lanka. We can also encourage cruise liners to select Sri Lanka not only as a transit port, but a turnaround port, where tourists will come to Sri Lanka and go into cruise liners from there, thereby attracting more tourists. We can also initiate a tourism plan by reviving the ancient Silk Route spanning from China to Sri Lanka, enjoying the cultural aspects of the route. Sri Lanka can also target tourism with our positioning in the Indian Ocean by making Sri Lanka the most favored destination in the Indian Ocean region. Sri Lanka has much to gain from the knowledge both these two countries have to give and possesses in both health and education as well. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, by ascertaining a professional role, Sri Lanka can initiate her interests in these two countries. She can take a role of ensuring that there's a level playing field in the region, ensuring everyone benefits from the interests both China and India have in the Indian Ocean region. As an Indian Ocean region nation, Sri Lanka can benefit further from the interest these two global giants have in the region, for example, in terms of investment. Sri Lanka has faced many challenges in maintaining her sovereignty and international commercial status in the region. And due to the growing interests of India and China in the Indian Ocean region, Sri Lanka is bound to face further, more complex challenges. Therefore, Sri Lanka definitely has to be more vigilant in terms of avoiding and mitigating these issues. Why? Because there are vested interests in Sri Lanka maintaining and dominating commercial ventures in the region. Thank you.